What nobody tells you about Alaska cruises. Alaska cruising is one of the most extraordinary travel experiences in the world. Glaciers, wildlife, scenery that does not exist on any other itinerary. But every year, thousands of passengers book their Alaska cruise based on brochure photos and come home saying the trip was not what they expected. Not because Alaska disappointed them, because nobody prepared them for the real thing. Today, I am going to fix that. Here is what nobody tells you before you book an Alaska cruise, and it will make all the difference. Number 1. The weather is nothing like the photos. Every Alaska cruise brochure shows a glacier under a clear blue sky with passengers in light jackets smiling from the deck. That image has almost nothing to do with the weather you are actually going to experience. Southeast Alaska, the Inside Passage, is a temperate rainforest. Ketchikan averages rain on more than 200 days per year. Juneau, the state capital and one of the most popular cruise ports in the world, receives over 60 inches of rain annually. The average summer temperature along the Inside Passage runs between 50 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and wind and rain regularly drop the feel into the low 40s. August is the driest month. It is still the rainiest destination most American cruisers will ever visit. A couple from Texas booked an August Alaska cruise, expecting something like a cooler Caribbean. They packed light summer clothes and brought one fleece each. By day 2 in Ketchikan, they had spent $180 on rain ponchos and heavier layers from a port shop. They saw the glacier on day 4 through a gray sky and loved it anyway, but they spent the first half of the trip cold and underprepared. Pack rain gear as your primary outer layer, not an afterthought. Waterproof jacket, waterproof pants, waterproof shoes. Bring a mid-layer fleece and a thermal base layer. Treat Alaska packing like a Pacific Northwest hiking trip that happens to have a cruise ship attached to it. Coming up next, the single item almost every Alaska first-timer leaves home that costs them the best wildlife experience of the trip. Number 2, binoculars are essential and almost nobody brings them. Wildlife sightings are the number 1 reason passengers book Alaska cruises over any other destination. Humpback whales, brown bears on shorelines, bald eagles perched on spruce branches, sea otters floating in kelp beds, they are all out there. But from the ship's rail, without optics, most of them are a dark shape in the distance. Alaska wildlife sightings happen at real distances. Whales surface 200 to 400 yards off the hull. Bears forage along river mouths half a mile from the channel. Eagles sit in trees that you cannot resolve with the naked eye from a moving ship. The passengers who walk away with genuine memories are almost always the ones who brought a serious pair of binoculars. A retired couple from Ohio paid $165 each for a whale-watching boat excursion in Juneau. They watched humpbacks breach from 300 yards with no binoculars. The following morning, back on the ship, a passenger next to them with a pair of 10 by 42 Nikons spotted 3 humpbacks feeding at the surface and watched them for 40 minutes from the deck rail, at no cost and with a dramatically better view. Bring an 8 by 42 or 10 by 42 pair of binoculars. This is the single highest return on investment item you can pack for an Alaska cruise. Nothing else comes close for what it adds to the wildlife experience. The next thing nobody tells you is about which glaciers you are actually going to see, because Glacier Cruise does not always mean what you think it means. Number 3, Glacier Bay access is not guaranteed. Verify before you book. Glacier Bay National Park is the centerpiece of most Alaska cruise marketing. Photos of tidewater glaciers calving ice into the water. Rangers boarding the ship to narrate the approach. It is the experience that defines Alaska cruising for most people. But here is what those same brochures bury in the fine print. The National Park Service strictly limits how many commercial ships can enter Glacier Bay on any given day. Ships must hold a specific permit for each sailing date. Not all Alaska cruise itineraries include Glacier Bay access. Ships without the permit will describe their itinerary as featuring scenic glacier cruising, which is accurate but refers to a different glacier entirely. Hubbard Glacier, Tracy Arm, and Endicott Arm are all legitimate and beautiful, but they are not Glacier Bay, and the experience is not the same. A retired teacher from Iowa booked an Alaska cruise specifically because she had dreamed of Glacier Bay for 20 years. The confirmation documents said Scenic Glacier Cruising, Hubbard Glacier. She called the cruise line 3 weeks before sailing. No Glacier Bay permit. She had booked the wrong ship and did not find out until almost too late to change her plans. When comparing Alaska itineraries, ask directly whether the specific sailing includes a Glacier Bay National Park permit. Do not assume Glacier Cruise equals Glacier Bay. Verify it in writing before you book. Coming up, what time of day the Alaska wildlife experience actually happens and how most passengers sleep right through it. Number 4. The best wildlife sightings happen before 8 a.m. The wildlife encounters that Alaska cruise passengers remember for the rest of their lives almost always happen before breakfast, and most passengers miss them completely because they are asleep. Whales feed most actively in the early morning before ship traffic increases and the sun gets high. Bears forage along river mouths and shorelines at dawn when the fish are running and the beaches are quiet. Eagles are most visible in the early light before thermal updrafts push them higher. The ship's rail at 6 a.m. has 5 or 6 passengers on it. By 10 a.m., it has several hundred. A retired firefighter from Colorado woke at 5:30 a.m. on day 3 of his Inside Passage cruise. He went to the bow with his binoculars and watched 2 humpback whales feeding at the surface for 45 minutes from a completely empty forward deck. His wife slept through it. He told me it was the single best thing he had seen in 50 years of travel. Set an alarm for at least 2 mornings of your Alaska cruise. Go to the bow or an upper outside deck before 7 a.m. Bring your binoculars in a warm layer. The probability of a genuinely memorable wildlife encounter is dramatically higher in those early hours than at any other point in the day. Next, the glacier viewing mistake that turns one of the most spectacular moments in all of cruising into a frustrating crowd experience. Number 5. Glacier viewing spots fill up fast. Position yourself the night before. When the captain announces a glacier approach over the ship's PA system, every passenger who is not in their cabin will move toward the same railing at the same time. If you are not already there, you are going to spend the next hour looking at the glacier through other people's shoulders and camera arms. Ships approach major glaciers slowly and typically hold position for 30 to 90 minutes. But the best rail positions, the bow, the upper open decks, port or starboard side depending on the ship's approach angle, fill up 15 to 25 minutes before arrival. The ship's daily newsletter or activity app will list the approximate glacier arrival time the evening before. Most passengers do not read it. A couple from Michigan heard the PA announcement and walked out to the rail within 10 minutes. They spent the entire glacier viewing period behind a wall of people. Their friends, who had read the next day's schedule the night before and arrived at the bow 30 minutes early, had clear rail space and one of the most photographed views of the entire sailing. The evening before any glacier approach, check the activity schedule for the arrival time. Choose your position. Bow on an upper deck is almost always best, and be there 25 to 30 minutes early. Bring something warm. Glacier air is cold even in the middle of August. Just ahead, the port town mistake that costs Alaska cruisers hundreds of dollars for something they could have done for free. Number 6. You do not need ship excursions in most Alaska ports. Alaska cruise excursions are some of the most expensive in the industry, and in most of the main ports, you genuinely do not need them. Ketchikan, Juneau, Sitka, and Skagway are all small, walkable towns. A City Highlights excursion in Ketchikan charges $85 to $120 per person to walk you through Creek Street, the Fish Ladder, and the Totem Pole Park. A route you can walk independently in an afternoon with free maps available on the pier. Skagway's entire historic downtown is a 10-minute walk from the ship. Sitka's most important sites, St. Michael's Cathedral, the Raptor Center, the Totem Park, are all within a mile of the pier. The ship excursions that are genuinely worth paying for in Alaska are the ones you cannot replicate alone. Helicopter glacier landings, float plane wilderness tours, sea kayaking into a remote fjord with a guide. A couple from Ohio paid $175 each for a Ketchikan City tour. A couple in the same port walked independently, found every major site on their own, watched salmon run under the docks at Creek Street, and had lunch at a local restaurant for $35 per person total. Spend your excursion budget on the Alaska experiences you genuinely cannot replicate independently. Everything else, walk. One more critical thing to understand before you book, and this one is about which type of Alaska itinerary actually makes financial sense for your travel situation. Number 7. Round trip versus one-way Alaska itineraries, the cost trap nobody calculates. Alaska cruises come in two main itinerary formats, and choosing the wrong one can add hundreds of dollars to your total trip cost in ways that are not visible until after you have already booked. A round-trip Alaska cruise departs and returns to the same port, typically Seattle or San Francisco. One flight in, one flight out, no logistical complexity. A one-way open-jaw itinerary departs one port and ends in another, most commonly Seattle to Vancouver or vice versa. That requires booking flights into two separate cities, one of which is in Canada, which means passport requirements and international airfare pricing on the return leg. Vancouver to US return flights are frequently more expensive than Seattle to anywhere equivalents, and the total price difference often exceeds the cruise savings the one-way itinerary appeared to offer. A couple from Arizona saw a one-way Seattle to Vancouver itinerary priced $300 per person cheaper than the round trip. They booked it without calculating the total cost. The flights home from Vancouver cost $420 more per person than what they had budgeted flying home from Seattle. The savings they thought they had found evaporated completely. Before comparing Alaska itinerary prices, calculate the full door-to-door trip cost, cruise plus flights into port, flights home from the disembarkation city, any hotel nights at either end. The round trip is often the better value when you include every dollar. Last item, and this one is the most overlooked piece of practical advice for Alaska cruisers, particularly those who have not experienced cold weather sailing before. Number 8. Seasickness on Alaska cruises depends entirely on your itinerary. Here is something the Alaska cruise brochures do not mention at all. Whether you experience rough water on an Alaska cruise depends almost entirely on which itinerary type you chose, and the difference between calm and genuinely rough is dramatic. The Inside Passage, the protected channel system between the mainland and the chain of islands running from Washington through southeast Alaska, is sheltered water. Ships cruise through narrow fjords and straits where ocean swells have no room to build. Most Inside Passage sailing days feel like sailing on a lake. Passengers who are sensitive to motion have little to worry about on a fully Inside Passage routing. The Gulf of Alaska is a completely different story. One-way itineraries that cross the open Gulf, departing Seattle and ending in Whittier or Seward near Anchorage, or vice versa, cross open North Pacific Ocean. Gulf of Alaska swells average 6 to 12 feet in the summer cruising season. Passengers who sailed Caribbean cruises without issue have been bedridden for an entire Gulf crossing day. A retired couple from Missouri completed a round-trip Inside Passage cruise without any seasickness issue. Their neighbors who did an open-jaw Seattle to Anchorage sailing the same summer reported that their travel companions were sick for the entire Gulf crossing and missed a full day of the itinerary. If motion sensitivity is a concern for anyone in your party, choose an Inside Passage routing and confirm with the cruise line that your itinerary includes no Gulf of Alaska open ocean crossings. Alaska cruising is one of the most extraordinary things you can do with a week of your life. The glaciers are real, the wildlife is real, the scenery is genuinely unlike anything else on a cruise ship itinerary. But the passengers who come home saying it was the trip of their lives are the ones who pack for the real Alaska, verified their glacier access, got up early, and chose their itinerary with full information. Subscribe here for honest cruise guidance every week. Your Alaska cruise starts with making the right decisions before you ever reach the pier.